This is a work of fiction, set within the real geography of St. Paul. In the first years of the 20th century, the Tomies, the Lindstroms, the accident, the inquiry, and the ledger belonged to the story. Long before the railroad, the levee houses, or the brewery yards Dakota people lived in and moved through this river country. Their presence is older than the city in this film. We will not invent their voices to decorate a later story. The story begins after St. Paul has divided work. Danger and belonging across its map. Italian families live on the upper levee. Near the Mississippi, Swedish families live in and around Swede Hollow. Along Phelan Creek. These places are not across one small bridge from each other. Between them lie streets, rail lines, hills, and a city practiced at keeping neighbors separate. But the same freight system passes through both communities. The same smoke settles on both kinds of roof, and one winter a bad order in a rail yard asks two families to carry the cost. Record two hands before names. Matteo Tomei is 17. His mother, Lucia, washes clothes for families who may praise her work without learning her name. His father, Antonio, repairs wheels and wagon parts. His older brother, Raphael, works freight when the yard bosses permit it. Antonio teaches with wood force a joint and it splits. Leave it loose and it fails later. Beneath a stranger who never saw the careless hand, responsibility in his house includes the person who is not in the room. Across the city, Julia Lindstrom lives with her mother, Elin, her father, Oscar, and her 14-year-old brother. Nils Oscar repairs Julia's boot with wire before leaving for the yard. Julia keeps a blue copybook beneath her mattress. She writes English words, debts, injuries, and the names of people who need letters read aloud. Oscar tells her to write names carefully. A misspelled name, he says, is a small burial before the story becomes a tragedy. It is already a story about hands. Hands that wash, repair, signal, write, and decide whose warning counts. Record 3817. At the rail yard, Oscar finds a cracked coupling. It should be marked, stopped, and inspected. He asks Raphael to carry the warning toward the men controlling the movement. Raphael raises a stop signal. Steam crosses the yard. The signal disappears inside its Silas crane. The yard boss wants the cars moved before an inspector arrives. Another arm lifts the freight, begins to roll. Oscar shouts, but iron has already accepted the second command. The coupling, the order, the steam, and the hurry become one event. By the time the yard becomes quiet enough for names, Oscar Lindstrom is dead. His watch stops at 8:17. At the Lindstrom house, the messenger says, Oscar's name, Elin, does not fall. Julia does not scream. Mills tries to stand as if grief has promoted him. Outside, the hollow keeps making ordinary sounds. Water moves under ice. Someone closes a door. A train continues north. The city's first cruelty is the death. Its second is the speed with which the death becomes useful. Record 4, Misfortune. Crane opens a notebook. A cracked coupling becomes uncertain. A warning made before the movement is shifted, until it seems to have come after steam becomes confusion. Confusion becomes an Italian hand signal. The official word is misfortune. Raphael has Oscar's blood on his sleeve and a family depending on his wages. If he accuses the yard, Crane can close every nearby door to him. If he remains quiet, rumor can use his silence as proof. Because Matteo that he saw nothing useful. By morning, the report is clean. Raphael is not men who were not beside the switch repeat the story with confidence. Mud is thrown at the Tomei door. Work disappears. Julia and Alin visit the railroad office. Polished men explain procedure. Julia asks what weight a stopwatch carries against a paid report. No one answers. The city has not solved Oscar's death. It has only moved the danger away from the company and into 2 immigrant neighborhoods where grief can be persuaded to fight grief.
Record fight Footbridge Evidence. At Oscar's funeral, every shovel of frozen earth seems to deepen the rumor Julia presses Anders' doll, who saw the yard before fear reorganized it. He begins to speak, then retreats into the safety of uncertainty. Later, Julia meets Matteo at a footbridge over Phelan Creek. He tells her that Raphael signaled stop. She asks what else he knows. Matteo says he does not know. It is the first honest answer Julia has heard since her father died. They begin leaving things where water might find them. Matteo brings an orange and a page from an Italian prayer book. Julia leaves Oscar's coat button and a Swedish song. She writes down the railroad's favorite words: misfortune, inquiry, regrettable procedure. The objects do not reconcile their families. They do something smaller and more difficult. They let 2 young people meet without pretending grief has finished. Matteo does not ask Julia to forgive Raphael. Julia does not ask Matteo to condemn his brother for her comfort. Their affection grows around the space where neither one lies. Record 6. The easy violence. Raphael is beaten outside a saloon by men who prefer a simple as next story. Matteo answers with another simple story. He throws a brick through a Swedish boarding house window. Then he sees the bed beneath it and the child who had been sleeping there. Julia tells him he chose a window because it could not fight back. Becoming feared was easy. That is exactly what makes it dangerous. While men trade blame, women keep the papers that remain. Julia reads police notices and wage letters. Lucia and Alin meet at a shared pump. For one moment they work the handle together and pull a child away from danger. Then grief finds language sharp enough to separate them again. Nils hears adults praise one of his angry beaux. Revenge enters before the pistol as a lesson about what a man is supposed to do. Raphael, now refused work across the city, helps Marta Algren ride a fallen cart. The man described as a threat uses his strength to protect someone who fears him. No newspaper records it, Julia does. Record 7, Between Nothing and Proof. After the thaw, Matteo finds a broken piece of red signal glass near the switch. Crane sees him looking and warns him to keep his family's head down. Raphael says the glass proves almost nothing. The company can call it old, moved, planted, or irrelevant. A true object is not automatically a usable fact. Matteo brings it to Julia anyway. In the blue copybook, she records the object, the place, the date, and the witness. The fragment now lives somewhere between nothing and proof, which is where poor people are often asked to live. Matteo and Julia kiss. It is awkward and brief. The city does not change. Oscar remains dead. Raphael remains blamed. Their families remain afraid. But for one moment, the city does not own all of them. The red glass catches the last winter light. In Julia's book, a line of ink refuses to disappear simply because it is incomplete.
The Catholic priest will not bless the young couple. The Lutheran minister will not bless them either. Both call secrecy reckless. Both know the families are poor. Neither wants a vow that brings the rail yard's trouble through the church door. Lucia discovers that Matteo has taken a silver medal inherited through her family. She tells him not to make the promise small. She also warns him that courage can become another vanity if it forgets which mothers must bury the brave. Nils accuses Julia betraying Oscar. Julia refuses to turn her father into a boarder. She must patrol for the rest of her life. At dawn by the creek, Matteo gives Julia the medal. Julia gives Matteo Oscar's watch. Still stopped at 8:17. They promise not to hurry grief. They promise not to put Raphael on trial every day. They promise to tell the truth and to hear it. If staying makes them cruel, they will leave in spring. If they stay, they will stay as themselves. No church records the vow. The objects do.
Inside the railroad office, a clerk named Eli Rosen compares two versions of Oscar's death. The first contains a repair mark, the cracked coupling, and an order to move the cars before inspection. The clean version has room for misfortune and no room for warning. Crane tells Eli to condense the file. He reminds him how easily a clerk can lose wages, lodging, and standing. Eli knows what a false line can do. His family once lost a shop in Minsk through numbers that became official because an office accepted them. Eli makes the copy Crane demands. Then he traces the original movement order onto thin onion skin paper. When Matteo comes near the record, Gibali tells him that some pages are made because an event happened. Others are made so a different event can be said to have happened. He gives Matteo the onion skin without making himself a hero. It is an uneasy mercy from a compromised man. The paper can clear Raphael, accuse Crane, or place every person carrying it inside the company's reach. Record 10. Fear carries all of us.
Raphael tries to take the copy from Matteo and burn it. He is not defending Crane, he is trying to save Lucia, Antonio, and Matteo from a machine that can punish an entire family without entering their home.
Matteo calls that fear Raphael calls it carrying everyone. They struggle, Raphael strikes his brother, then hates the hand that did it. Lucia reads what survives their argument. She refuses both choices the men offer her. The family will not throw the page into the railroad's fire, and Matteo will not carry it, as if only his courage were at risk. They will carry it straight, together. But rumor travels faster than caution. People hear that proof exists. Crowds begin to form around the rail yard in Swede Hollow. Nils takes a pistol from a gray sock where Mr. Berg keeps it. Nils has heard that respect is something people hear. He has been taught to make grief audible. Julia hides Eli's copy against her body and runs with Matteo toward the track.
Record 11, the shot and the fire.
Neighborhoods arrive, carrying different versions of the same death. Nils points the pistol at Matteo. Julia speaks to him as a sister. But he hears betrayal. Raphael moves toward the gun. Nils fires. Raphael falls. The crowd becomes quiet enough for the truth it refused before Raphael says the coupling was cracked. Oscar saw it. Raphael signaled stop. Another signal moved the cars because Crane wanted them gone before inspection. Crane sees Julia holding Eli's copy. He takes it and throws it into a stove barrel. Julia reaches into the fire and pulls out half. Her sleeve catches Matteo, smothers the flame with his hands. The paper loses whole sentences but keeps numbers, initials, the cracked coupling, the inspection time, and the beginning of the order to move. Italian and Swedish men lift Raphael together. Antonio blocks Crane from the path. Too many witnesses now stand where one frightened witness once stood alone. At the Tomei home, Lucia and Lynn boil water. Neither woman pretends forgiveness has arrived. Raphael waits long enough to ask Julia, for one thing, name Oscar Lindstrom. Name Raphael Tomei. Do not let misfortune bury either man. He dies before sunrise in Lucie's arms.
Record 12, the body after the body.
The first newspaper calls the confrontation an immigrant disturbance. It prints Oscar Lindstrom and Raphael towing. Julia goes to the newspaper office with a blue copybook. An editor says it is only spelling. Julia answers that spelling is the body after the body. The corrections appear that day at the municipal inquiry. The company questions Julia's grief, Matteo's qualifications, Nils's pistol, and the burned paper. Women from the hollow and the river flats add names, initials, and thumbprints to Julia's book. Eli makes sure his own testimony enters the record. The inquiry does not become justice. Its language changes slowly. Accidental death becomes dispute and accident. Dispute and accident becomes possible negligence. Ellen receives a small settlement. It pays burial debt and helps Nils. It contains no apology. Nils waits in a minister's spare room and asks Julia whether he will be jailed or hanged. She tells him she does not know. She will not lie to comfort him, and she will not help him turn one terrible act into an easy story about being entirely damned. At Raphael's funeral, some men from Swede Hollow stand at the edge of the crowd.
The ledger table.
Spring comes. Crane is dismissed quietly. There is talk of a fine and better inspection. None of it restores Oscar or Raphael. Matteo and Julia do not leave St. Paul, not because suffering has made the city noble, but because Lucia, Antonia, Lilin, and Nils still need them. On Saturdays, they open a table in the back room of a grocer on neutral ground. Julia brings the blue copybook. Matteo brings pencils, Oscar's repaired watch sits beside the half-burned order. It ticks again, but loses time. People bring wage, notices, injuries, debts, bosses' names, car numbers, fines, and official misfortunes. Marta! Algren brings a turnip and the memory of Raphael riding her cart. Lucia brings bread, Elin brings a railroad letter, Eli Rosen brings blank forms and carbon paper. Julia writes his name correctly among the witnesses. On the first day, 9 names enter the ledger. This is not justice, it is memory held by more than one frightened person. Later, stories disagree about Matteo and Julia. Some say they married, some say they left, some say they stayed. The ledger does not decorate them. Oscar Lindstrom, killed after a cracked coupling was moved before inspection. Raphael Tomei died after naming the truth. Matteo, Tomei and Julia Lindstrom. Witnesses Matteo adds one final thought. The tragedy was not that they loved. The tragedy was that the city made love carry what justice would not.